Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session. I'm so excited to be here with you today and to share what we've been learning about how generative AI is changing how humans interact with technology and the user experience, therefore. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, whatever you've done before, if your brain works like mine and you're easily distracted by like a flea on the wall or notifications, new messages coming up, I highly recommend to mute your phone, mute all other notifications, just put it aside, lean back, and enjoy the session to make sure that you don't waste any of your energy or time and get the full experience out of this. My name is Leonie. I'm working in the AI design practice team at SAP, and our team works with product teams across the entire portfolio of SAP on bringing great AI experiences into our portfolio. Before I start, we're going to have the option for you to ask questions, and my team in the back office, thanks to all of you, is going to be there and answer them already while I speak. But we're also going to have time in the end to pick out some specific questions and answer them for you all. I'm asking you to be kind with your questions, and I'm asking you to give your feedback and your opinion. It's important that we all share that, and if you use yes and instead of yes but, we can also build on each other's ideas. Be kind. The world is a tough place already. So yeah, with that said, let's get started. And this is not working, so let's try this. OK. So spoiler alert, I'm already showing you the key message of today's session, which is great UX equals trust equals value. And you can see Aaron, who's also a supporter of this formula, and we've worked on this together, actually. And why I'm telling you this right away in the beginning is because it's easier if you know, and then we unpack it, obviously. And this is really the key thing that I want you to take away at the end of the session as well. So analysts across the industry and we ourselves are expecting that in the next 2 to 5 years, we will see a massive impact on businesses across the globe, triggered by generative AI and the emerging AI capabilities that we see in the market. So we will have to revisit the product experiences through the lens of design and AI. And no matter which role you are in and what's your current level of understanding of AI, it doesn't matter, because now is the starting point. It's great that you're here and enjoying TechEd and all of our sessions. And that's why we're trying to bring this formula to you today, to give you this guiding overall understanding of what we need to not only build or create, but also consult on and identify valuable AI experiences. So to make sure that we're all in a similar headspace, because I don't know what's your current level of understanding or expertise with AI, I want to start with a story from our team. So back last year, end of last year, when GPT was on the rise, we were working on some projects and we wanted to do some research and create a point of view. And we knew by then already that the data was outdated, that it was using, and it was hallucinating. So one of our colleagues shared a summary of what she's been working on. And we looked at it and we all felt like, it sounds like GPT, not so sure if to trust it. And then we had to go through the whole process of what prompts were used, how was it validated, how was it double-checked, and what input went into it until the full team could trust and continue working with this output. So what we understood from that, not only that the good news is we're still accountable, but also the bad news is we're still accountable, and there's a lot to unpack when we get to some output. So large language models and Gen AI have made AI helpful for humans in new ways and scaled it. But unless users can trust Gen AI results, we will be investing in solutions that no one wants to use or trusts to use. So before we dive into the content, I want to give you a quick glimpse on what's the 4 things we're going to look at. First, I'm going to talk about the AI UX paradigm shifts. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the correlation between great UX, trust, and value, our approach, how we're doing it at SAP and within our team, and our 4 tips for a great AI user experience. So let's start with the paradigm shifts. And before we do that, quick side note on what was UX again, in case you're not a UX professional. So when we think of user experience, think of how something works for you, like the lived human experience, not just what it looks like, because that's the user interface mostly. And user experience is really, really covering more like how something works for you. And now let's look at what's changing. So with traditional AI, it was more of like, if this happens, then do that, operational, A to B. But what we see now, the shift with generative AI, is a more collaborative user experience. You tell the computer what you want, and you don't tell it how to get there, but it gives you some ideas then on how to solve this. So it's a conversational experience in natural language, as opposed to the AI simply performing a bunch of steps for you. One example for this. Traditional AI, you push a button and the AI solves one specific problem for you. With generative AI, you conversationally describe a problem and the AI generates multiple solutions. Totally different experience. So, second example, think of, right now we're all used to interfaces with lots of settings and control panels. And generative AI is already changing that. So we're seeing one point of conversational interaction for user needs instead of pushing a button and you tell the system what you want it to do. So we, of course, also see that there is hybrid approaches, and we're exploring that, but this is the bigger paradigm shift that we are seeing, that a user doesn't have to like navigate across sites, buttons, interfaces anymore in order to get to a solution or find a way to answer the questions that they have. Example number 3. With traditional AI, it expects user to submit the feedback to the model and then hope for improvements to be made. With generative AI, it's more automated. The Gen AI collects information from across multiple data sources. We're using a single large language model to solve many use cases, right? So we're expecting automated improvement through this collective feedback from people using it and through the data that AI automatically labels now. Okay, let's take a quick breath. I'm gonna drink a sip of water. You can digest what I just told you. Now, let's go into the connection between great UX, user trust, and valuable AI. Remember, again, large language models and Gen AI have made it useful and scalable, but unless we can trust it, there's no point in investing in it. And there's many variables of human trust in their relationship with AI. And we're still exploring that and learning about how mental models are changing. So for now, let's just look at the 10K view and keep it simple and within the work context. So users can trust AI when they can understand the why behind AI outputs, because it allows them to apply their own critical thinking. Only when you understand how something came up with an output, you can apply your critical thinking, you can challenge the output, you can check the quality of the data, check the sources, refine your prompts much more efficiently, and be accountable or like be able to respond to questions that might also challenge your output for whatever you're doing with this that AI has given you. So, and remember, good and bad users, we're still accountable. So that's why the critical thinking part is so important to this element as well. So, the more trustworthy AI outputs are, because then you can apply your critical thinking, the more valuable AI becomes. And there's 3 levels to achieving or to creating trustworthy AI user experiences. What you can see on the right-hand side is a graph of like just high-level time and value of AI, and 3 steps: transparency of AI in use, progressive disclosure of the metadata that the AI is using, and our goal, explainable AI results. And this is not all new, and it's not all rocket science, so we should also not make it feel like rocket science for users. And thanks to my team, and kudos to Jen, to Deb, and to Lulu, really fabulous designers and colleagues who've been working with us or with my team and me to prepare some mock-ups for you today so we can just visualize and show to you what we mean when we say transparency, explainability, etc. So step 1, transparency. Let users know AI is being used. I recommend you focus on the right-hand side of the video for a second. So we toggle the AI recommendation. We show that AI is being used, the steps it is taking, so the user is in the known, an indicator where AI is being used. And then we also show the variables that it has looked at. So that is already like a good transparency for user as this first step. Step number 2, progressive disclosure. This is all about letting users investigate the model and the data being used. And what's important to mention here is that the depth that someone wants to look into, how deep they want to dig into the data that's being used, how they want to understand the model, depends a little bit on the persona, on the use case. Is it important? So yeah, let's look at the mockup. So we see the recommendation. We see even a confidence score. It even allows to look into the model. It allows the user to look into the data and when it was last updated, for example, and even dig deeper into the spreadsheet. So step number 3, explainability. This is a bit more complex. We want to tell the user why and how an AI recommendation is relevant to them. So here we're looking again, similar example, producer looking to optimize shipping routes. Again, focus a little bit more on the right-hand side of what I'm going to show you. You see, again, confidence score is given and what data is being used and why, and also the history that the recommendation is based on in a visualized manner to make it more understandable for the humans. So you can go through this data and analyze a little bit yourself. You have more context, better understanding and interpretability. All right, that sounds all great, right? But there's challenges. The world is not that simple, as always. So we have risks. AI is costly and it has clear potential to harm. It has environmental cost as well. So we need to slow down and be rigorous. And this is, by the way, what we're hearing from the work that we're doing with product teams. So this is what we know from our hands-on work, but as well as like the things that we see being discussed globally outside or independent from our company. Continuous delivery. We don't have time to go back and fix pixels or rethink entire journeys. So there's a lot of pressure on the agile delivery process. And at the same time, we have a pressure to ensure we have a unified, cohesive, accessible user experience across the products, right? And there's a lot of unknowns that we need to consistently and quickly investigate and test and research about. So what if users adopt AI recommendations without checking them? One of the unknowns. How can we be transparent and explainable without creating an overwhelming user experience? We don't want to give like all of the information that people don't need or don't want at a certain point. And how do we help users of all skill levels to create the best possible prompts? And how do we make AI accessible and inclusive to all? So, yes, challenges, unknowns. There is knowledge that we're building on from the past, right? With the transparency, progressive disclosure, etc. But what we see right now is that really the cross-functional collaboration is becoming key more and more. Like it was before, still is, but it's so important even more. So what you can see on the left-hand side, user needs, plus the models and data, plus the natural AI UX, plus valuable AI solutions. And what you can see on the right is which functions contribute this to this equation. So user research, the user researchers and designers, they're equipped to help provide the right level of information to the right user group at the right point. So we need user research to inform us about the user needs, about the problem that we need to solve. We need our development and data scientist colleagues to provide information about the models and the data. We need UX design to put all of this into an intuitive, natural user experience so that we have this trustworthy AI results. And then we need to make sure we constantly talk to our customers and users and iterate that feedback quickly to make sure that we have valuable AI solutions. So a little bit more about our approach. When we look at it from like a company-wide perspective, I'm really happy to say that we have this like strategy that's really strong. We have this aligned execution and accountability. And we're building on these 3 pillars of relevant, reliable, responsible to ensure that we're really delivering real business results. So how are we making AI relevant for our users? It goes back to what I showed you before, really integrating roles from discovery to delivery. So the data scientists, developers, user researchers, the designers, we have to bring all of that in communities also and in the product teams together to accelerate and improve the experience and to ensure we are solving the right problems, right? How are we making AI reliable for users? We're doing that by making sure we are scaling within our SAP design system. So we're curating, we're packaging up what we see from the inner source, the best across the company, and we're packaging it up, making it available for everyone. So we're curating these discoveries into reusable knowledge. If it's patterns, if it's guidelines, just enablement generally, making sure that we're all informed, that also the teams inform this work, and that we can deliver AI solutions at speed and scale that are consistent, accessible with the right quality, and lead to productivity and innovation for our customers. Last point, how are we making AI responsible for users? So shout out at this point also to our AI ethics team and to Camilla. They're doing really a fantastic job on scaling this and executing this together with the teams across the company. So we're mitigating risks through this responsible innovation approach. We have an external advisory panel. We have the SAP AI Global Ethics Committee that every use case has to go through. We have a policy handbook, a policy and a handbook. It's, by the way, also publicly available if you want to dig into that and see what you can use for yourself out of that. You can scan the QR code or just search it online. And we're implementing product standards and risk assessments. So make sure to check it out. There's really so much helpful content in there already that you can build on. Okay, quick breath. I'm going to take a sip of water. Maybe you want to stretch a little bit too. Okay, I see. 2.5 minutes left to speak. All right. So 4 tips to delivering valuable generative AI UX. You know this visualization, user needs, models and data, great AI UX, valuable AI solutions already. I showed you this a couple of minutes before. But I really want to go through this step by step so it can sink in. So ask users what they need. Listen to users to ensure you're building AI that's solving their most critical problems. If you're not in touch with your users, you'll never know if you're building a thing that they actually need. By the way, at this point, our awesome colleagues in the research unit have just built the SAP User Research Panel. So you, as a user of SAP, no matter what's your background, for how long you've been using it whatsoever, can participate in this research. So make sure to sign up for it. It's really a great way to make your voice heard and to influence what the ERP systems will look like in the next couple of years. Second step, good inputs make good outputs. Together with data science, we need to make sure that our models are accurate and confident and that they're as unbiased as possible, so that our designers can take this and really use it to build trust with every user interaction. Remember, we need that for transparency, for progressive disclosure, for explainability, that metadata. So it's really the designers that are equipped and in the lead to make it then easy for users to get that metadata in their experience at the right point in time with the right level and the right context. And number 4, the world changes, so should our AI. And it changes quickly. So once you're using it, once you're shipping it, keep improving it through continuous feedback from your customers and your users. All right, remember, the formula is great UX leads to trustworthy experiences, leads to valuable AI. And users can trust AI when they can understand the why behind the AI outputs. And the more trustworthy, the more valuable. What's next? Remember this formula. Remember that we're all learning about new opportunities almost every day for the next 2 to 5 years. So let's do it together. Let's build on each other's ideas. Let's do good with this powerful tool that we have in our hands. We at SAP continue to research, form partnerships, invest in research to really make sure we're solving the right problems and we're delivering the best possible and most valuable and trustworthy experiences that we can. I can recommend you to join our session of our colleagues Johannes and Matthias, one of our data scientist friends, to see their fast-forward explorations on unpacking what's happening within the AI for improved user experience in the AI agent. Maybe the team can put the link in the chat. And yeah, I am happy that you joined today. I am really, really curious to hear your thoughts, your comments, your perspective, your questions. And if we don't have enough time to answer all of them now, feel free to just reach out to me on LinkedIn. We can just continue the discussion afterwards. So, open to your questions.
Live Q&A.
Okay, give me a second to read through some of the questions. Okay, how much do you think prompt engineering will play a role in generative AI giving trustable and valuable answers? Well, what we're observing right now is that we need prompt engineering because the user interfaces are not yet as explainable and transparent as they could be or should be for the user. So it's a bit hard for the humans to understand sometimes how to best nudge the AI to give it what you want. And that's why prompt engineering became such a thing. We're hoping that over the next couple of years, the better we get in providing better user experiences, the less prompt engineering we will need. Especially, I don't know the source of that study, but when you look up the Nielsen-Norman group, they have published an article about that as well, that the literacy that we see across Europe and the US, for example, doesn't give high hopes that most people will become prompt engineers or prompt ninjas. And why should they? The AI should help us in a natural way to give us trustable and valuable answers to the questions that we have. So much about that. Thank you for that awesome question. The other one, excellent presentation, bravo, thank you. When AI is used real-time in sub-application, how it is ensured input data is accurate and unbiased, what challenges should consider when implementing generative AI in user experiences design? Okay. I'm not so sure where this question is, if I understand it correctly, but since I can't double check with you, I'm just gonna try to interpret it from my perspective. So what challenges should be considered when implementing generative AI in user experiences? There's a couple of challenges. It depends on what's your role and what's your current status with your product. I recommend to go back into the slides that we shared, where we also spoke about the challenges that we see and some of the solutions in our approach, how we're dealing with them. And generally, I think we can say that we need to be open and speak to the users, how they're experiencing it, how they're experiencing what's valuable to them and what is not, so we can quickly iterate and improve on that. So thank you for those questions. I know there's a lot more questions. I'm trying to follow up on them asynchronously, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I hope you learned from this session and you had as much fun as I did. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for your attention. Goodbye.